I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is Bill Murphy, Chairman and Director of GATA. Thank you for joining me today.
Great to be here, Charlotte. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, for those who aren't familiar with GATA, can you start by telling me a little bit about what you do and your role there?
Yeah, well, GATA was formed by myself and Chris Powell, who's a speaker here, in 1999 to expose the manipulation of the gold market. Initially, we thought it was just the bullion banks, and then we realized that it was much bigger than that. It included the Fed, the Treasury, Exchange Stabilization Fund, other central banks, Bank for International Settlements, and so we've been working for nearly two decades to expose what's going on and hopefully end it someday.
Okay, so what progress have you made during that time? What have you uncovered?
We've uncovered how rigged the gold and silver markets are, and people continue to want to fight it and not deal with it because we're taking on the richest and most powerful people in the world. This is what they do. As Chris spoke to yesterday and presented just some of the evidence that we have, it's all there of banks admitting they do this, and there's been all kinds of lawsuits about the bullion banks and silver and gold, accusing them of manipulation, and so it's all there for people that want to see it, and it's very unfair for what's going on, and eventually it's going to cause some big problems down the road.
So what is the general sentiment from investors? Are they receptive to this? Well,
it's interesting. It's a very good question. I mean, the mainstream people just don't want to hear about it because, as I said, mentioned, we're taking on the rich and powerful, and the people just don't want to go against it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear about it. But it's a fact. I liken it to what happened in the recent Harvey Weinstein scandal with, all these women over decades were abused, and it was a terrible scene, but people didn't want to expose it because of the rich and powerful, and that's what we've been running up against all this time.
So today, what's the biggest issue in market manipulation? What's the biggest concern?
Well, the biggest concern is that they're there all the time, and that's the reason that gold and silver are just at pitifully low prices, what I call artificially low prices, and yet you've had all this quantitative easing, low interest rates, deficits. You've had every reason for them to go higher, but the gold cartel, as I call it, has forced the price down. I mean, look at gold compared to a Bitcoin.
Yes.
Early this year, they were both the same price at $12.40. Bitcoin isn't suppressed, manipulated. Look what it has done. Other assets, art, real estate, the Dow, gold and silver. It doesn't make any sense, especially silver, because supposedly if the economy is going so good, it should benefit silver, but that's done worse than gold.
Okay, that leads into my next question. I was going to ask you, you focus on gold, of course, but other markets, is this everywhere? Is it silver or?
Well, silver is as rigged as gold is. I mean, I don't want to bore people, but the open interest on the COMEX is at all-time highs outside of last year, which means the shorts are just selling. That's JP Morgan. And they've just got this thing in total lockdown. They won't let it go no matter what. But we have learned over the years that it's not just the gold and silver markets. It's pretty much acknowledged the bond market is pretty much rigged, but they're also involved in the stock market. There's a thing called the Plunge Protection Team, the Counterparty Risk Management Group, and they have made sure since the Trump election that the stock market, it won't even correct. It just goes like this.
Okay, so for investors, why should they keep investing in gold and silver and things?
Well, that's another great question, because right now they're awful. And the only thing I can say is, knowing what GATA knows about the price suppression scheme, and as a result, artificially low prices, that's the reason to be in the game, because this will blow up one day. It's bad, it's getting worse relative to other assets, but it will change it probably overnight. So unfortunately right now people are giving up because they can't take it anymore. They look at what other assets are doing and they say, what am I doing? Because this is a 6 and 7 year bear, it's a 7-year bear market now, while other assets have done the opposite. And it's taking its toll, and it's very unfortunate. So my role as GATA chairman running LaMetropolCafe.com, my website, is to keep people in the game understanding the big picture. Because at least if you know why it's happening, and it's been put in this mode by what again they call this gold cartel, you have a reason to stay in the game.
Okay. Final question. So if you're an investor and you're concerned about this, you want to do something, what should you be doing?
Well, as an investor, the most important thing is to pay attention to it. You know, you can go to GATA.org. My colleague Chris Powell has a great site. You can get information there. They can sign up for a 2-week free trial on my website because I get into it every day because, in my opinion, nothing else matters. I mean, all the stuff that these great speakers here talk about in terms of gold and silver doesn't mean a thing. Hasn't meant anything for years because the gold cartel is out there punishing the prices. And at least here, if people understand this, as I just mentioned, it's a reason to stay in the game because it's going to be spectacular down the road. The timing of it, obviously, nobody knows.
How high could gold potentially go?
Well, first of all, my opinion, if silver breaks 21, it's going to go berserk and trade like Bitcoin. That's a really key level. I think the gold cartel crowd will lose control of the market. There's no reason for gold in the not too distant future to take out its all-time highs above 1920 or so. And I mean, once, it's my opinion, but we won't have a gradual move anymore in gold and silver. When it goes this time, it's going to be explosive and go very fast.
Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you for coming by. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is Bill Murphy.